Here on the program, and this is a conversation that I know all of us have already started looking at our diaries and trying to figure out, okay, where are the public holidays so we can book our next holiday. You know, we'll take that day off and, you know, life will be great again. So in South Africa, we have 13 public holidays every year, and many people try to maximize their leave time because of this. However, the economic impact can leave businesses feeling the burn. My next guest says employers should consider the effect on the workplace and implement measures to address the impact on work. Employers should also consider collective agreements and bargaining council agreements as well, that impact on public holidays, working arrangements and shifts as well. Thabang Rapuleng is the Director in Employment Practice at Cliff Decker Hofmeyr. He joins us now in studio to give us a bit more insight. Good to have you. Welcome again.
Thank you, Lian.
All right, so, I mean, public holidays, essentially, you know, South Africans really do take advantage of it. 9 times out of 10, you'll find that people will take the day before and the day after. So you'll end up getting this week that is actually so not productive. But how bad are we as South Africans when it comes to banking on these public holidays and taking full advantage of them?
I guess, as you correctly pointed out, that is, people have already started looking at the calendar and planning their holidays and seeing which days can I take to create a long weekend, basically. The temptation to create a long weekend is always there, and I think it's quite common. It's quite a common practice in South Africa.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, we obviously don't understand, though, the impact that it has on the economy. So perhaps you can give us a little bit of insight into all these holidays that, A, the public holidays, and B, the days around there that we decide to take off as well. What impact does that have on the economy?
Well, it has a great impact, Lian, because by virtue of the legislation that we have, if it's a public holiday, employers are expected to pay employees who did not work on that day. And those who ordinarily worked on that particular day, they get double their salaries.
Yes.
So they get paid double. So it has a huge impact on business. You look at the year like this year, where June 16 falls on a Sunday, that automatically creates a holiday on a Monday in terms of the Public Holidays Act, meaning now there's 2 consecutive holidays. And employers will obviously have to pay employees for those days.
Yeah, especially
so
retailers that will
impact.
open on a Sunday. You've got to pay your staff double, and then you open again on the Monday, which you're paying again double.
Yes.
Talk to me about the issue of South Africa doing that. Do many other countries do that in terms of you have a public holiday on a Sunday, as it is with June 16, but the Monday is a public holiday? Do other countries follow suit in that?
To my knowledge, it's not common practice, more especially in Africa. But it seems to be common practice in what we can see in Europe and in America as well. But in South Africa, it does not seem to be common practice amongst African countries. In fact, some countries in Africa, you don't get paid double for working on a public holiday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have we opened up the conversation to perhaps change that, if it is having this very bad impact on our economy?
Well, I recall at some point years ago, there was a move by business to review the number of public holidays that we have. And there was a call that said we have way too many public holidays. But nothing came out of those discussions. In fact, depending on who you're speaking to, some people believe that actually we need more public holidays in South Africa. So as things stand, it has not really been entertained at a more formal stage. Now and then it does come up where people say we need to review the number of public holidays we have, but there's not been a formal process to really look at it.
So let's talk about advice now, because you talk more about the fact on arranging collective agreements and bargaining council agreements. Explain this to us. How does this actually work?
Well, what the Public Holidays Act says is that people should not be expected to work on a public holiday unless there's an agreement. So those agreements can be concluded in terms of collective agreements, where the unions and the employers sit down and agree as to, insofar as we need people to work on a public holiday, or the nature of our work requires that we operate even on a public holiday. Those things need to be regulated in terms of a collective agreement. Some of these agreements can be bargaining council agreements, meaning they are concluded at a bargaining council forum. So it's an advice that we are giving to business to say, you need to seriously consider that, more especially where it was not a practice for your particular business to operate in public holidays. But now, because of the changing economic times, you find yourselves having to operate on public holidays. It is advisable that you engage in those discussions before you get to that particular public holiday.
Yeah. Now we've got another, so we said at the beginning of this interview, we've got 13 public holidays this year. We haven't included Election Day, because elections generally is declared a public holiday as well. The president will say, look, you know, you take the day off to go and vote. So is that included in the 13 days, or was not that pushing it up to 14 days?
No, it will push it to 14 days.
So that's 14 days now. I mean, the regulations around that as well. I mean, that's, there's nothing we can do. I mean, it isn't going to change this year. That will happen.
Yeah, it isn't going to change this year, but what the practice has been with regard to Election Day, usually the presidents avoided setting elections on a Thursday or on a Monday to avoid the temptation of creating a long weekend. So usually it will always be on a Wednesday to avoid that particular temptation. So it is expected that it will be on a Wednesday sometime in May.
Yeah, I know a lot of people still asking, when are the elections, when are the elections? The date hasn't been announced
Well,
as yet.
speculation is that it will be May, but the date has not been announced.
Yeah, definitely. I know the president did allude to May as well. You know, when we sort of look at again, I'll emphasize the talk of striking, because that's one thing that, you know, we as a very unionized country do have a lot of, and that are strikes. But the bad news is, if you are striking and it happens to be a public holiday, you sacrifice a lot there, don't you?
Yes. Keep in mind, you get paid if you will ordinarily have worked on that particular day. So when you are on a strike, you will not have ordinarily worked on that particular day. So if a holiday falls during the strike, then the striking employees will not be paid for that particular day.
Yeah. Again, just for people that want to get some more information about this, information on public holiday regulations, where can we go? I mean, what is the best place to go?
Well, I guess the best place will be the Department of Labor's website. It will have such information, but it's regulated in terms of the Public Holidays Act, but I think the best place will be the Department of Labor's website.
Yeah. All right. Listen, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us. Just as a matter of interest, I was looking at the top 10 countries when it comes to public holidays, and yes, South Africa does fall into that top 10 list. But do you know the country with the most public holidays is Cambodia, and they get 28 days of public holidays. Then Sri Lanka with 25, India and Kazakhstan are at 21, 18 Colombia, the Philippines, Trinidad and Tobago, and then 17, I find this hard to believe though, 17 in China and Hong Kong. 17 public holidays? Do you think so? Well, I don't know. Anyway, we sit there at about number 9, where South Africa has 13 public holidays. So there you go. Quite an interesting discussion, isn't it? Okay, it's